Hi everybody, it's Indy Lee. I am so excited today. I like can't even believe this is happening. It's kind of weird because, well, first of all, let me introduce. Okay, so today I have the pleasure of interviewing Jules. I'm going to say it wrong. Jules Von Hep. Did I say it right?
Jules Von Hep.
Okay, Jules Von Hep, who I really believe we were related in a different life or somehow because we came into each other's life through the beauty industry. We did a live together. Jules is the founder of Isle of Paradise, which are self-tanning drops, which are amazing. But more than that, we just had this connection. And I feel like I get to have a conversation for me this morning, for you this afternoon, with my soul friend. It's the weirdest thing. So I thank you, Jules, for being on here with me.
Oh my gosh, it's such an honor. And while we just touch on that term, a soul friend, now I think there's a thing called soul contracts. Now a tarot reader once explained this to me in Byron Bay, Australia. And if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, we're going there quick. Yeah, that's how our chat goes. And basically it says that in some lives you can have parallel lives that run like this and they'll bond in and out like this and it'll go in between each lives and each stages. So we probably have a soul contract where we'll just meet in different lives.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense to me. And yes, so for those of you who've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that, in my first ones, I introduced you guys to me and that I am on the woo-woo side. And then the last two weren't as woo-woo. Last few haven't been this woo, but we're going back to my woo-woo side because I am with Jules and this is totally going to be there because that's our connection to each other. And I guess has been our connection to each other for many lifetimes, which is amazing. And for those of you who go, wait, like, so how long have you guys been talking? In this lifetime, this is our third time. And the first one was just like, okay, yeah, we're going to do a live together. So this is really so cool, so surreal, so surreal. I'm just so excited about this. And I'm really excited to share your journey, not just as a founder of a clean self-tanning line, but your role within speaking up about body positivity. I mean, you're also a podcast host. You are somebody who really walks the walk and talks the talk and are trying to lift other people up to be more confident in in themselves, in the body they're in the soul they're connected with. And so thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Like it is an honor to be here and I'm really, really excited about this conversation.
Yeah, so tell me, how did this all get started? Okay, were you more body positivity first? Then did you I know you were a tan expert or a tanologist. Is that what you call yourself?
No, well, I was a tan expert. So my career, it
Yeah,
all kind of
tell everybody
the
everything.
journey. So I I studied fashion at university because that was literally the only industry that I could think of when I was leaving school that was like vaguely creative. And I was interning and I met the CEO of a big tan brand on the stairs of this PR agency that I was interning in. And I walked past her and I was like, I love your shoes. And she was like, who are you? And we started chatting and she said, oh, where are you from? And it turns out that where the office was of this brand, my parents lived an hour away from. And so she said, do you want to intern? So I was like, yeah, absolutely. Well, I've got nothing to lose. And that was my first real step away from fashion and into beauty. And I became so obsessed with the beauty industry. I've always been obsessed with using my body as a canvas to create a look or a trend. I think as a creative, there is that moment in your day when putting yourself together is part of your creative process and it's part of the start to finish, which I really, really enjoy. I
I
always used to
love
say to
that.
my I always used to say to my friends before we go on a night out, I'd say, my favorite bit about a night out is the before and when we get home from the night out. I actually don't really enjoy the night out that much, but just getting ready and taking my makeup off at the end of it is great. Um,
That's
so
amazing.
then I moved to Australia. you'll love this. I flipped a coin one night and it landed on heads. And an hour later, I booked a one-way ticket to Sydney. And I moved to Sydney.
What? Okay, so clearly now you know he's a risk taker.
Yeah, and I'm also like, I'm a great believer in fate and I don't believe in regrets. And I was like, well, what is the worst that's going to happen? I come home. Okay, fine. Like, it's going to be fine. I moved to Australia. I worked in magazines. And then I came back and I was working back in beauty again. And I met a facialist called Nicola Joss. And Nicola and I met through work, but we had a really deep soulful connection quite early on. She is very much like, she does crystal healing, Reiki. She massages the face from the inside upwards. And so her whole ethos, she's very witchy. She's very connected with like the aura of each client. And I really, really enjoyed her presence. And I started training underneath her because I was like, I just want to see how this chick rolls.
Yeah.
And she said to me one day, she said, you know, you just make an amazing spray tanner. And I know that sounds really weird. And I was like, a spray tanner? Are you kidding me? There is more to life. I was like, I'm not destined to be a spray tanner. And I was like, I say to my friends, I'm like, nobody wakes up and they go, do you know what I want to be? I want to be a celebrity spray tanner. It's not a career that I was aiming for. But at the time I was working in an office and I was like doing odd jobs and life just hadn't presented me the path that I was supposed to walk on. And so I thought, you know what, sod it. I've got nothing to lose. I'll become a spray tanner. So I started spray tanning, and about 3 months into doing this, I was tanning a makeup artist called Natalia Nair, and she said to me, she was like, you know that you're really good at this, don't you? You know that like you're really good at spray tanning. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, everyone can do this. She was like, no, you've got it. She said, listen, I'm the head makeup artist on the X Factor, and do you want to be part of my makeup team? And I was like, yeah, why the hell not? And so I worked Monday to Friday in my desk job. And at the weekends, I would be backstage rubbing shoulders with Kelly Rowland, Lady Gaga, Rihanna, like working on all these. I wasn't working with them, but I was working with the contestants. But my eyes were opening into this incredible backstage world. And I just thought, oh my gosh. And that year was the year that Little Mix, who are a really famous band now, they won the X Factor. And I remember standing in the crowd at the O2 in Wembley. I just almost tripped over Kylie Minogue's stiletto. And it was like this mental place that I was in. And I watched Little Mix win, and the confetti cannons went off. And I will never forget it. I remember thinking, I'm just going to literally follow a dream. I'm going to follow whatever is going to bring me joy, because I watched those girls win. They'd taken a chance. They wanted to sing. They'd won this competition, and their lives were going to change just because they were obviously innately following something. So I thought, I'm just going to give this spray tanning a go. And if the worst that can happen is I fail, then I'll work something out. So I started tanning more and more and more celebrities, and the industry in London, there was only one other celebrity spray tanner at the time, and I could really understand that people wanted confidentiality. They wanted someone really chilled to be around. Like, I honestly am pretty horizontal in life. I'm very chill. And all of a sudden, I was literally going in and out of A-list Hollywood stars' homes, hotel rooms, traveling the world, getting booked, going on the private jets, being flown at last minute to give tans. I then worked on Dancing with the Stars. I worked on The Crown. I then was just teaching. So self-tan, I was an ambassador for a brand, and tan was exploding at the time. And so I was traveling to Sweden, Norway, Iceland, Germany. I was traveling all over the world, teaching makeup artists, journalists, all about tan. And then it reached a point, during that time, I was so obsessed with skin, because my job was to look at people's skin, but also to listen what my clients wanted. And I worked with A-listers, of course, but I also worked with people who weren't famous, and people who would save their money for their wedding tan or a big holiday tan, or like school mums, all of this. And so every day, if you imagine when you're doing that job, every day was just a sea of vagina and nipples. It was
It
naked
has to
bodies.
be.
It was naked bodies
Oh
consistently.
my gosh. It's so funny that you say that. When people go like, I don't understand, what do? You go in front of somebody and you get naked. I'm like, yeah,
That is literally it.
absolutely.
And
And they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like who cares?
And so I'd pop a tent up in somebody's home. I'd go into their space, and they would get naked for me. And I realized that during that time, it was very much up to me to make this client feel the most comfortable that they could feel. So I really worked on myself and how I present myself around other people. I had to make somebody feel like they could bear all, because when you have a spray tan, your makeup comes off, jewelry comes off, even your lipstick comes off. You are butt naked. And so I need to make you feel comfortable in
You are
that.
vulnerable.
Exactly.
Oh wait, now I'm seeing where the body positivity comes in. Whoa. Okay. Okay. Got it. In
So
that heartbeat.
then,
Now I'm seeing it.
so there's two, how we came to Isle of Paradise and came to the body positivity. During the time that I was in and out of TV studios, I would turn up with, I'm not even kidding you, like 2 of the biggest suitcases you've ever seen. I was driving a car that made me look like I had 6 children. It was so big, and it was just for all my product and my kit. And I realized that I needed to mix makeup and color corrected product in with self-tan to get the skin that I wanted, because I didn't want the tan to go orange. It needed to hide redness. Sometimes my clients just wanted brighter skin. They didn't necessarily want any tan on the skin. So I had to use makeup in order to get that finish. And then there was just this moment, and you will know because you have a brand, and there is anyone who you speak to who's got the brand, there is the light bulb, the click, the universe opens and presents the situation to you. And I remember just standing, trying to find products that were going to do what I needed them to do in my kit, and I couldn't find them. And I stood in this drugstore and I thought, God, if I'm literally supposed to be the best spray tanner in the world and I'm having to mix product to do what it's supposed to do on the skin, then what the hell chance has anybody else who's using this to go to their wedding, to go on a night
Yes.
out, how are they supposed to do it if this is all that they can buy? And I thought, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to launch my own brand because it is my duty and my right in the beauty industry to deliver products that do what they say they're going to do. So you'll know that when you're thinking of your brand, everything is flying around. And I wanted Isle of Paradise to represent the women and the men that I saw in my spray tan tent every single day. So I wanted clients to feel empowered when they bought Isle of Paradise. I didn't want to market Isle of Paradise based on someone's insecurities. So I didn't want to say, oh, tan it. If you can't tone it, tan it. This will cover cellulite. It's such bullshit. And there were so many times, Indy, that I'd be on a photo shoot and I'd be behind the camera and I'd be looking at the celebrity on set. And I'd turn to the camera lens and it turned to the screen at the side and I'd see the image rolling on the monitor. I'd run to the monitor to check that my tan was okay. Yep, it was all fine. And then 6 months later, the image would come out in a magazine and it had been airbrushed. And I just thought, I know that's airbrushed. That's a massive lie. But my girlfriends who are buying this product have not got a clue. That's not fair. That's not
No.
fair. And this is a huge, huge lie that was happening in the beauty industry. And I thought, I love this industry, yet I'm part of this lie. And when we launched Isle of Paradise, I was like, we cannot be removing cellulite. We cannot be changing body shapes. This is not going to happen under my watch. No chance. This needs to be a brand that changes the way that other brands in the beauty industry are going to follow suit.
I love that, Jules. And that is exactly the issue that, or what has been going on in our society for so long, that has led to lack of confidence, because we're holding ourselves to this fictitious norm, what we think is norm. Like, that's what we're supposed to look like. Those are the celebrities. That's like what our goal is. And it's an airbrushed. And it's just like with Instagram, which is a curated feed often. And now I think we're seeing a paradigm shift where people are saying, no, this is what I really look like. Like, this is who I am, accept who you are. If we continue to airbrush our life and our faces and whatnot, we're never going to accept ourselves as we are.
Exactly. How are you supposed to find inner happiness when the dream of inner happiness is airbrushed? So you're
Yes,
aiming for a reality that doesn't even exist.
exactly,
It's
exactly.
stupid.
It is. And I think that now the light bulb went on for me, that here you are in these homes of humans, whether they're a celebrity or not, but you're in these homes and they are bearing themselves all their insecurities. And you, I'm sure, through the conversations of making people feel comfortable, that these conversations about cellulite or this isn't perfect or whatnot, and realizing how much we bash ourselves.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So self tan and being a spray tanner actually saved me on my own body insecurity journey. So I really hated how I looked, probably from the age of 12 to 24, 25. Suffered with eating disorders, would self-harm, just would cry in front of the mirror, would grab my body, just hated it, just hated how I looked, just wanted to blend into the background. And when I started spray tanning, hearing other people apologize, and I'm not even kidding you, every single client, whether they were A-list celebrity or they were non-famous, every single person apologized, and they still apologize now. Sorry about my cellulite, sorry about my fat, sorry about my boobs, sorry about my skin, please don't look at my ass, all of it.
Yep.
And I realized that actually we have been programmed to
Yes.
hate our bodies from an
Preach.
early age.
I just had
So
this conversation yesterday.
it literally, the light bulb lit for me, and I was like, if every single person I'm working with hates how they look, then if I hate how I look, but I'm not seeing that in somebody else, because I didn't see their cellulite, I didn't see that nothing wrong with their stomachs, anything. I was like, well, then this isn't reality, and I need to change. All that needs to happen here is I need to change the way that I'm speaking to myself, and that will change reality. I don't need to change my body, because we've all been there, the scales out, been forced diet culture and told that our happiness will achieve when we reach goal weight. And how many of us have reached that goal weight? Oh, and you haven't found happiness, because the industry is just feeding on your insecurities.
For those of you who are listening and not watching, I am literally bowing down because yes, exactly. And by the way, guilty, guilty. Every day I get dressed, I'm like, oh, if I was just thinner, this would lay better on me. And I deal with it too. And by the way, I do. I truly love myself. But of course, because I flip through Instagram and I see these fashion pages, I'm like, my God, if I just had the thinner arms and this, and I'm finally getting to this place in my life, and maybe it's my age, I'm 48. I'm like, you know what? This has got to stop. I haven't worn a sleeveless shirt my entire life because I've been saying my arms aren't that certain way. And you know what? I also believe that, and this is the woo woo side, if that's what I continue to tell myself and the energy in my cells, that is what is going to continue to show up. And I am not seeing myself for myself.
So that telling yourself each day, it is negative manifesting.
Yes.
So if every single day, and we are all guilty of this, you stand in front of the mirror and you say, I'm fat, or I hate this, and you look at your body and you consistently repeat that message, then you are putting it out to the universe. And what's going to happen, babe? You are going to believe that that is reality.
Exactly.
So I wrote a book actually on how to get body posi, and it's free. You can download it from the Isle of Paradise website, because I don't believe that anything that's in, but I don't want to charge people for that. Like, come and just download it and have it for free. But if you focus on the bits that you love, like I focus on my eyes, I quite like my legs. The bits of the areas that I don't like are my love handles. They're not my favorite bit. But for
Mine too.
years, I focused on them, and I would consistently say mean things to myself about my love handles. And the moment I changed the messaging up when I spoke in the mirror, my life just became happier. And I don't believe that you can be body confident every single day of your life. There is no magic wand that comes in and goes, here's the body of your favorite A-lister. There you go. All your problems are solved. It doesn't exist. But it's a journey, and you have to work on yourself and on your inner demons and just change the process and change the thought.
I agree. I agree. And I think that's true with every part of your life. That's for me. And I know, I do the Mindful Mondays every Monday. And that's what then led to this podcast, because that's for me what part of my brand is about, is to change the dialogue within. We don't even realize the conversations, the negative conversations that we have with ourselves, and the impact that has on our energy, on our cellular structure, the whole thing. And if we can start to change that conversation and we can start to quiet the mind, we'll see what's possible. And I really do believe everything and anything is possible. I've seen too many things in my own life that doctors have literally said impossible to happen, that have, just by changing my mindset and quieting that noise and that inner dialogue, and really being mindful about how I look at a situation, how I look at my life, how I look at my relationships. And it all starts with the conversation I'm having with myself in my head every day.
Mm-hmm.
Now I start to look in the mirror and go, all right, girl, you're 48, not bad.
You look incredible. You look incredible. But at the same time, and this is I think in the beauty industry, it's a really interesting place to have these conversations, because I don't know about you, but I get questions of, wait, how can you talk about body positivity when you have a tan brand? I don't understand that, because surely you should love yourself with or without the tan. And I'm like, yeah, you don't have to buy tan to make you feel happy in yourself, but all it does is give you a little bit of boost and a confidence. And I think there's something really cathartic about literally rubbing your body when you are applying a product, because you are connecting with yourself. It's the same with skincare. It's not about necessarily the end result. It's about that time with yourself.
Yes. Say it loud. Absolutely. That's what self-care is. To me, yes, I look at makeup and such, and tan, as creativity, self-expression, artistry. But I look at skincare as taking care of oneself, right? Almost like a health, right? And because it's not just the products and the ingredients, but that physical touching of your skin, taking care of yourself, that's so important, and connecting with it and taking that 15 minutes in the shower to, really wash your body, but connect with your body. That I think is so important. And I agree. The reason why I like to do a spray tan is because I think I look healthier. Like, I have a little bit of a glow, but I am not somebody who's going to sit in the sun. Like, we don't have to go into that tangent. I'm very, but like, I like that little bit of a glow. And clearly you can see on this video that I don't but there is that sense of, hey, you feel a little confident. And what's wrong with that?
Nothing, babes. Nothing.
Exactly.
Whatever it takes to get you out of that front door feeling your best self, then babes, do it.
Yes.
But I want to also touch back on something that you said before about the conversation that you have with yourself in the mirror with clothes. Because I think clothes and fashion, and when we shop, our lives are so dictated to by the number in the back and by the letter in the back.
Yes.
And what blows my mind, because I'm guilty, I'm really guilty of this, and I have been in the past, and even now the conversation can come when she's stepping into a large and not a medium. I'm like, oh, what's happening? But why should we constrict our body to what somebody has deemed a size and put on a label in the back of a garment? Like, when you actually think of it, imagine trying to explain that to aliens, or if animals could talk, they'd be like, wait, what? You're doing what? That's mad. And actually, like, I'm not defined by that letter or that number. I am not defined by that. And something I really realized when I was doing so many spray tans, that I never actually remembered a client based on their appearance. I would remember if they made me a really good cup of tea, if they gave me a great hug, if they made me laugh, if they told me that funny joke. What was it about them that I was connected to? It was never their appearance. And I realized that actually how I look and my appearance is probably the least interesting thing about myself. And the moment that you start to remember that and you start to really repeat that in the mirror, and you go, actually, doesn't if somebody is judging me based on my appearance, that's their stuff.
Yes.
Not my stuff. And I'm not defined by how I look. And I understand that a question will be raised, wait, but you sell tan and a tan is based on appearance. No, 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 no. A tan is based on the moment when you look in front of the mirror that makes you feel more confident. Then you leave the house and you're smiley and you're happy.
Like why we say a good hair day, because you feel good. It's the same exact thing.
Exactly. It's just a different way of thinking, I think. The moment you start to reprogram the thought process, then life just becomes a lot more fun.
I agree. I haven't owned a scale since I was 16.
Good for you.
And I refuse to have one in my house. I have 3 beautiful children, and I absolutely refuse for them to ever, I just don't believe in it. Because we get fixated on a number, and that number, it can be very different based upon your height, your frame, all those things. And I'd rather you focus on feeling good about yourself than feeling better of yourself based on the number. And what I am starting to do is not look at the number in my clothes and my jeans and stuff like that, because if it looks good, and every brand, I'm a different size. And why am I looking at that and judging myself? And I'm really getting to the point where I'm not doing it.
Nope, not worth it.
It's not like, why am I self-torturing myself? I like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm like, when I get dressed, do I feel good? Am I putting on, something that makes me feel good? I'm also doing the Marie Kondo effect of what I'm wearing. Am I purchasing it? Is it bringing me joy? Do I feel good? Do I feel confident? Do I feel sexy? And I'm not saying sexy for somebody else to look at me and find me desirable. Do I feel that little, I don't know, that little light in me? And that's what's been important. And that light is not defined on that physical appearance. It's how do I feel inside? Because then again, I'm coming from a place of joy. I don't believe people, anything can make me happy. Only I can make me happy. That starts from within.
100%.
And I hope that when people come to my Instagram and this podcast and the things we continue to do on our platform, both yours and mine, that they're not seeing it as a skincare brand. I want you to live the healthiest version of your life. That's what I woke up to. I said from the minute I got diagnosed and figured out what was happening, I said, I'm going to spend the rest of my life dedicated to empowering others to living the healthiest version of their life. And to me, health isn't just your blood pressure, it's your sense of self. It is being mindful. It is finding a balance, mind, body, and soul. And I will spend the rest of my life trying to help people get to that place, because once you get to that place, and I'm sure, Jules, you agree with me, this is a journey that will never stop.
Never. But if you believe that this journey is a dress rehearsal for another journey, don't.
Oh my God! Yes.
Don't even. I say to people, especially like my girlfriends, I'm like, so do you think that the moment when you die, as soon as you close your eyes, that someone's going to go, okay, so that was the dress rehearsal. If you want to come through to your actual life, that would be great. If you just want to put on a lip and we'll go, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. So you've got to live this life.
Yes, and you don't know when it's going to come up. We will never know. And I think that's why I refuse to ever get complacent in having these conversations, with everybody is, let's be mindful. Let's treat everybody equally. And when I say equally, from a place of love, I mean, we see what's going on right now. I'm sure, Jules, I know you're across the pond, but what is happening here in the United States is just, it's incredible in a way that we, meaning myself as someone who's a privileged white person, waking up to what has been happening in our society and what we have been ignoring or afraid to or embarrassed to look at. But we need to start realizing that we need to treat people equally.
100%, and it's about the human race. It's about us
Yes.
looking after one another. And I've been thinking about everything that's going on. I've been working on myself a lot about this, and I actually, we are living through a massive historical moment,
We
and
are.
have been given the ability to change the way that the future is going to be, and change the world for generations beneath us. And it's up to us to make that change, so that actually the world is just a better place to live in.
I do. And I really think that all this is happening for a reason. I really do. I believe everything happens. And I think that the fact that we're all indoors looking at our screen is forcing us to look at what has been happening in society for I think over 400 years. And literally, we will have the opportunity to open our doors and open our hearts when we go back out. And you're absolutely right. We're at this pivotal point that we can be a part of the change. And I mean, I know I too have been spending a lot of time in self-reflection, a little bit differently for me in that, and you know, I said it on our feed. I have the incredible privilege of having three children. Two of them I gave birth to, and one of them who basically wound up on my doorstep at 6 months, who is Black. And so I have the privilege of raising a strong Black woman. And what I need to do is for a while, and honestly, I was thinking of how do I raise a strong female? And I realized that was wrong of me.
Mm,
I need to raise a strong Black woman.
mm.
And I need to educate myself to how to do that properly, because it's very different than how the conversations are going to be very different than what I had with Emily and what I have with Samaya. And so I've been really doing that work on myself, not realizing that the conversations have to be different. And I am
Don't be
lucky.
afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to speak to people.
And that's what I'm learning. And I'm doing a tremendous amount of reading. And it's been really eye-opening for me, and not always in a comfortable way, things I didn't realize. And of course, you know, I am so proud to be her mom. It is like truly one of the greatest gifts. She's a little miracle that happened in my life that I was not expecting. But it's these moments that I am taking to really think about how I can play a role in that. And then even as a brand, how am she going to look at my feed and know that I am walking the walk and talking the talk in my business as I do at home.
Mm, mm.
So it's very interesting. So I have a question for you on this. How does that work as you create a brand that is based on tanning?
Mm.
How is it inclusive?
So the misconception
Yeah.
that self-tan is only for one type of skin tone is something that I always found really bizarre, because tan works on every single skin tone, from the palest of the pale to the darkest of the dark. It works across the whole spectrum. So when Isle of Paradise launched, we were the first ever self-tan brand to use a woman of colour in our campaign, ever. And journalists used to say to me, wow, that's so amazing. How does it feel? And, you know, the PR told me to say, oh, it feels amazing. And I'd always answer and be like, you know what? It actually sucks. It sucks that it took me to do this.
Yeah.
And actually, this should have been done from the get-go. And then I wouldn't have to be doing all of this. And actually, I think it's really important to remember that when you use tan, okay, on white skin like mine, it will change in the hue and the color to go from a pale pinkish color to a brown, golden, olivey color. But what it really does is mimic the effects of the sun. So whatever skin shade you have and skin tone, you will get a color that is reflective of time under the sun. So it's warming, removing of ash or bluey under complexions. It evens the skin out. It might just give you a little kiss of color, or it might completely even the skin tone out. It's not, the fact that it's seen as that one shade that happens is quite archaic. Actually, it should be seen as a tool that can be used to transform your skin without lying in the sun. So it's almost like a sun protection. That's how I see it.
Well, listen, that's why I've done spray tan, is because I don't go in the sun. And that, I think, and by the way, for those of you listening, I planted that question because I really think that is part of the conversation that also needs to happen, is that this is an inclusive brand. You are the first brand that I know of that had a BIPOC person as a model to saying, no, I've been doing spray tan for how many years, and I've been doing it on every shade.
Every shade, but also on
it's like semi-permanent makeup.
Exactly, but it's just that glow, and it's, you know, when I talk to BIPOC clients, I say, you know, don't be fooled by what the media's told you about tan. It's not like that. It's like this, and whoever my client is and whatever their skin color, the reaction is always the same. And after they've used tan, it's, oh my gosh, I feel more confident. Wow, I didn't know that my skin could look like this.
I love that. Well, I happen to love you, and even though we just kind of started our friendship in this life, I love that. So then how did the podcasting come on? Because I could talk to you for hours, but I want to talk a little bit about that. And how did you then realize that this goes beyond that and I need to create these podcasts? And please tell everybody the podcast, because I do think what you're doing is important.
Thank you. So the podcast actually started before Isle of Paradise. I met my co-host Sarah when she interviewed me, when she was a radio presenter. She interviewed me about tan and backstage and the world of Dancing with the Stars. And we just became really good friends. And this was almost 5 years ago. And she said, I think we should do a podcast. Like, the people are doing them, and I think like it'd be just nice to see each other every week. We were like, yeah, okay, we'll start podcasting. And we then picked up this following and picked up an audience. And it was the same message that came through every time when people would reach out to us and they'd say, I'm finding it really hard at the moment, but your podcasts are bringing so much light. Or, oh, you said that one thing about being positive, and you said something about my anxiety or mental health, and it's really made me feel better. And so Sarah and I said, you know, it's like our podcast is answering a need, but we're not designing it to answer that need.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, what if we design something separate that really answers that need? And both of us realized, because Sarah used to interview loads of celebrities, I would work with celebrities, and we both knew that wobbles happened wherever and whoever you were. And yet social media was very much a place where people didn't talk about anything. And so we launched Wobble to break down the barrier and to encourage other people to talk about how they're feeling. So it might be that it could be a mental wobble or a physical wobble, but it's important to realize that we all wobble. We all have those moments. And so we started the podcast to encourage others to talk about it.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Oh, I think it's and by the way, for those of you who are listening to this, who might be driving, everything will be in the show notes, of course, and links so that you can find all that. Okay, so I can go on and on. I don't even want to end this podcast because I have so many questions. So maybe there'll be a part 2. But I always ask every guest 3 questions, and they are, so what are you currently passionate about?
I'm currently passionate about using my voice more within the space that I'm in. So previously to everything that's been happening with Black Lives Matter, I don't think I was using my voice enough. And yes, I have changed the beauty industry and the way that it communicates to individuals in terms of body positivity. But I'm actually sometimes a bit shy about being an activist. And so what I'm working on at the moment in my present is speaking up more and actually being more confident. So I actually received a press email the other day from this girl, and she was like, oh, hi, I've got this client and it's all about summer body and anti-cellulite and this new machine that erases cellulite. And the old me would have just ignored it. And the new me wrote back. And I was like, I think this is really wrong. You shouldn't be sending out these emails. I understand that my name has been copy pasted. So I wasn't blaming her, but I was like, please don't ever send me any kind of information like this again. Done. And so I just want to speak up more.
Unbelievable. Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
amazing. Okay, so what's giving you purpose right now?
Again, my audience on social media. I mean, every day, if you don't follow me on social media, if you fancy a follow, then come and check out the madness. But I put out content that every single piece that I put out, I try to either educate somebody in how to live their life differently and more positively, or I just want to make you laugh. I just want to have fun. I just want to make you feel great in the skin that you're in. And every day I wake up to DMs from followers or new followers, and maybe somebody's shared a post with a friend and they've come in and they're just saying, oh my God, like I love the way that you see life. You're positively impacting me. And my whole message to myself is, I want to be the role model that I didn't have. So when I was going through all the dark times and when I was really struggling with my appearance and who I was and battling insecurities, I literally had no one to guide me. And so I want to be that person for other people, because there's so much more than feeling and being in that dark space.
You are that person. FYI, you're nailing it.
Thank
you really
you.
are.
Thank you.
Okay, so, and my last question is, what are you doing to be more present on a regular basis?
I connect with nature a lot, and nature, I think, is overlooked, especially in schools and especially when you're in your younger years. So you don't really get taught that nature is actually a huge healing beast. And during the lockdown COVID times that we are now recording in, I've made sure that I've been going outside and been going on the walks and just taking time out. And I said to my fiance, actually, I said, I'm really not that bothered about the stores reopening and, that world kind of reinventing itself. All I want is to be able to just keep going outside and keep connecting with nature. I meditate as much as I can. My friend Kirsty Rayner does the most amazing online meditations on Instagram every day. And I just listen to nice, easy meditations. I love the Calm app.
Me too.
It really helps me. And they have a breathing exercise on there that if I'm ever because my mental health is up and down, it fluctuates. And the Calm app I find so amazing to just bring me down a few notches when I need it.
I happen to love that app, and I think that I love Headspace. I practice transcendental meditation, so I meditate every morning and every night, which has been so important to my mental health for sure. Oh, look, there's my dog coming into my room while I'm filming it. So that's great.
I was like, are you being broken into?
Yes. It's so cute. It's okay. My daughter just came in. She probably needs something, and I forgot to put the sign up that I was recording, but that's okay. You know what? That's the beauty. No, it's okay. I'll come up, Samaya. So,
hey.
You know what? I don't worry about those things. Where in the past, I'd be like, oh my God, now great, everything's that's life. I have 3 beautiful children and 2 dogs. It's going to be chaotic, and that's okay. Anybody who's going to say, well, I'm not going to follow her because that happened, then I'm not the right person to follow. But I agree with you. For me, being out in nature, I'm blessed. I have a very large greenhouse. It's 750 square feet in my backyard. And so I spend time in there. I am surrounded on this side of me with all plants. And I do think I know scientifically they've proven there is a connection with grounding and going out with with no shoes on and putting your feet in the ground. And that's where that is another tool that I use in my toolbox for staying fully present. So
I love it.
Jules, thank you so much for joining me. How can people find you? I lay it out for us, because I know there are a bunch of different channels, but how can people follow you, get to know you better? understand, more about your product, etc. Share it all.
So on Instagram, I am at Jules Von Hep. My tan brand is at the Isle of Paradise. My podcast is Jules and Sarah, and that's on Acast, iTunes, Spotify. And our other podcast is Wobble. If you have never tanned before and you're thinking of coming back to the Chapel of Tanning, then welcome in. Isle of Paradise is available at Sephora, Boots in the UK, and Mecca in Australia.
Yeah, you can't go to any store without seeing it now, which is amazing. I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for you. Jules, thank you so much. This has been an honor, and I cannot wait to have more off the record conversations with you as well.
I loved it. Thank you for having me.